Well, hello and welcome. I'm Sue Britz,
And I'm Tina Lokkbakk. Welcome to Retired.
the podcast where we talk about what life is like when we put on new tread, new wheels that move us to our next adventure.
So I want to bring up today, as we're getting into the next round of the holiday season, let's talk a little bit about what the celebration is like now, being that we're at this stage in life where our children are grown, our parents are not with us. How are you feeling, or have you seen a change in the way you want to celebrate? Is it different or exactly the same? Or how do you look at this holiday season now without both parents and with your daughter grown?
Wow, this is an interesting topic. I think that for people who are of a certain age, like ourselves, um, it it is interesting. I mean, okay, one of the favorites, I don't know about you all, but one of the favorites that we used to watch as a family was The Christmas Story, that movie with the
With the
kid.
lamp,
Yes, with the leg lamp and
the glasses.
you'll shoot your eye out, kid, and falling on the ground in wrapped up in massive clothing because they didn't have
Yes.
specialized clothing back then, and you couldn't get up off the ground. You're squirming there like like a dead cockroach or something. Yeah, and then sticking your tongue on the pole and it
And getting
freezing.
it stuck. Yeah.
That movie, even as a I would say a teenager, it was when we started watching it, was
hmm
resonated because it was our childhood, because it was the same childhood that I had. And now watching that, or when I see it comes up advertised, knowing that I'm not sitting in my household home or watching it anymore. Maybe I've watched it too many times, but just not that same funny joy is there, but parents aren't there, and the siblings are across the country, and we're retired. We're not going. That's the other thing. I'm sorry. What about you? This I'm thinking about teachers right now, and I see because I do watch some teacher stuff on my social platforms, knowing that they're going through this week, the week of right before they leave for the end of the year, how difficult this week is. I don't it
And
is a
how
whole different.
exhausted you are by the time you make it to that last day of school and that last hour, and it's time to pack up and have a little bit of vacation.
Okay, not
The
vacation. You get to pack up and have a little bit of time,
To
unpaid
breathe.
time, yes, to breathe and to recoup and kind of be yourself.
Yes. I don't miss that.
But
I
then you
don't miss
go
that
home and
feeling.
you're in charge of, like, if you got a
Everything.
family, you're in charge of everything at home with your family.
It
And if you
becomes a second job.
yes, if you got kids, it's even then you want to make it special
Harder.
for them. And so this is a different time now, and it's yeah, it's time to think about how you do things differently. I don't know.
So my question, and I'm noticing it, and I don't know if it's age, if it's rebelliousness, but I don't have the spirit, and I don't know if it's age or not. And I'm gonna go back in time. I was newly married, and we were visiting my ex-husband's grandparents who had moved from Kansas to the rental property of my in-laws. And I remember they had this kind of clever now. It was like a 6 foot tall painting of a Christmas tree. And they hung it up, and it had lights. It plugged in. So
Oh,
the
how
lights
funny.
went on this thing. And that was it. That was their decoration. And at that time, I just thought, gosh, I hope I never get to that point, because I was so full of Christmas spirit for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
And I just couldn't even fathom, and prayed to God that I wouldn't get to the point where I would just hang up a Christmas tree. And it's funny because I think not only have I become that, I think I'm worse. Where, like, the last couple of years, I dodged the bullet because I was in Cuba. and I brought my daughter one year, and then I was there with just Maria the next, and they really don't celebrate much. And actually my best experience happened to be, actually, it was, 2 years ago, and we ended up doing a Christmas Eve dinner at her best friend's house, and it was beautiful. And it reminded me of my experience as a child because the dinner table was decked out with a tablecloth, and it was just excellent food, and we just sat, and it was so like how I used to celebrate. But there was no decorations, there was no Christmas. There was a little bit of decoration, but it wasn't like ours where we just over decorate the front yard, the backyard, the all yard, the whole house. It was just a couple of things that let you know it was Christmas, which was a relief to me. And then that New Year's, it was her neighbor's family get together. We were invited. My daughter was there as well. And and it was just neat being part of this neighborhood gathering where everybody just kind of brought things. And when people don't have a lot of money and yet they're all contributing, whether it's drinks or food or something, it was so magical, and it was so rough at the same time. We were sitting on logs and things, random chairs that were half collapsing. Um, but it was magical,
And
but
that,
it was so different.
yeah, and magical is what we kind of, remember and idolize and kind of just like make it, that's our memory of childhood. It's so, I hear you. I had my bah humbug period. I mean, massively bah humbug. I remember it would being at school even. Maybe it was the last 5 years of teaching, maybe 10 even. I
Mm.
had a long period of bah humbug because it was a recognition that it was all too much, that you're working
Yes.
and the holidays, and you can't talk about the holidays, and then you need to talk about all the holidays, and then you need to, and then what are your feelings about the holidays, and there's the decorations, and then the food expectations, and decorating your house, and it and then the food itself, the preparation, and you're doing it all, and people come and eat it, and then they eat it in 15 minutes, and then that's it. Then I'm cleaning up everything.
Yep.
And it's like, it's just like, it's way too much. And then you think about the implications of a consumer economy. It's too much. For me, it kind of broke my heart, Christmas, when I'm feeling that, and then on top of
Hmm.
it, um, really not resonating with the purpose that I understood Christmas to be, which is the celebration of Jesus Christ's birth.
Yes.
And I still respect and honor that actual historical person, Jesus Christ. He was an amazing peace bringer to the world and taught peace and taking care of people and including people, and I think that's amazing. I don't have the same religious feelings, and so we can celebrate his birth, and I'm chill with that. All the ritual through the church, some of that is beautiful, some of it is like way over the top too. Then there's Christmas carols. Oh, don't even get me started on Christmas carols. And the irony is, I was like you, the as a young person, I was the one who organized the neighborhood kids to go and do Christmas caroling through the neighborhoods, uh, copied the music, brought out the instruments. We practiced. We went around. I would set up a manger. That was always very exciting to me, and make sure we contributed to setting up the tree and the lights, and all of that was wonder. And it wasn't about the presents you got; it was about the whole feeling of it, and it
Yes.
felt good and right and warm. Even,
Yes.
yeah, even when you're in a snowy environment, and so then, yeah, it just this real, um what's it called, continuum, the real continuum of, here's the beauty and wonder of the actual event, and here's the consumerism and the expectations on, and particularly women, around the holidays, uh and teachers in their profession. Um, it's it was too much. It's too much. Bah humbug for more than 10 years. I would say 20 years. I was bah humbug. There's been a shift recently. I mean, I put
Oh,
decorations. You know those net lights you can just throw over a bush.
yeah.
Well, my neighbor across the street didn't like hers. They were too bright. I'm like, really? Oh, come on. And we see them across the street. That's wonderful. She said, no, I'm going to change them out. So here, have mine. So in the spirit of thank you, this is fair. And I always like lights. Lights are fun. I would love to
Yeah.
decorate
That's one of the
everything
best
in lights.
parts.
It
Hmm.
looks like snow. We don't live in a snow
Yes.
environment. So sure, I'll take your lights and plop them over there and then you can see them, and it's wonderful. So I've got the lights there. Um, from another friend, a senior who moved to a uh, care assisted care facility. She had collectibles. One of them was a beautiful standing Santa Claus automated that has a candle and moves its head. It's driving the dogs in crazy when they come to
Because
visit,
they
but
think it's a human,
they're
right?
like, "What the hell's moving over there?" But that's in the window, and that's kind of I turned that one on, and so that feels really good. I like it.
Wow.
It's kind of funny and fun and light, and we're gonna have our own meal together here at home. Uh, then families coming after Christmas, and we're gonna have a big family um,
Wow.
dinner. Uh, and I'm not in charge of it. Melinda's in charge of it. I'm the sous chef, literally and figuratively, and it's great. It's
And
mostly
does she get joy from the cooking?
she absolutely does. That's her thing.
Okay.
She's got the her biking. She bikes 120 miles a week at least. She loves to cook and garden, and that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird how nostalgia kind of pulls you in for a moment. It's like a little hook that pulls you in, but then you also remember some of that how it played out over the course of your life, and yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about.
I went through a talk yesterday with Maria. It was interesting, and I feel like it went through phases. But in high school, especially, all growing up, I was two cultures celebrating Christmas. You've got the Christmas that the Americans have on TV. It happens on the 25th. You get to be in your pajamas and you decorate well before Christmas. And I didn't realize until I got older that the way my parents celebrated wasn't them being weird. It was them carrying their Norwegian traditions over to the States. So we have something called Lille Julaften, and that's when you decorate. It's called Little Christmas Eve. So the 23rd is when you break out all the decorations. And then it carries on well past like January 6th. And it's very much a cultural thing in Norway still because it's more homogeneous religiously, right? Or it used to be. So everybody kind of celebrates it as strongly and together as a nation practically. So I was always torn because I wanted to do the American way and yet I was forced to do it the Norwegian way. So most Americans are done by the 26th. And then that's when it finally started getting going in my family of three. So then I get married and then we split the time. And that was really interesting because we had limited time when you get married and we lived elsewhere. We lived up north. So then we had to split the time and it became stressful because it wasn't like we got to just go to one house and relax. It was, let's celebrate your way, Tina, at your parents' house for 2 days. And then we're going to go to my parents' house for 2 days and then we're going to drive home. And so it was not very comfortable nor fun in that respect because I didn't get to enjoy the time on the 25th, which is my favorite part of the Norwegian celebration because it's pajamas and an all-day smorgasbord at the table. So then we had to finish to hurry up and pack up, get dressed, drive down to his house where I went from the four of us at that time celebrating with crystal and china and decked out tablecloths very formal, to go to his house, which was disposable everything, au gratin potatoes from a box, everything canned, and and then as soon as the guests, because they invited guests over on the 25th afternoon, as soon as they left, then they started taking down all the Christmas decorations. It was like they couldn't wait for everybody to leave because Christmas was over and now let's clean up. So I hardly got to taste it because I got to my house and it was barely up, and then we go to his house and it's taken down. So then I went through the phase of, okay, now we finally have our children, which became the hardest part, in that I'm now trying to make my parents happy, celebrating by doing all the traditions of Christmas for them, and then celebrating for all the Christmas traditions my ex husband liked, and then exhausted and foul and nasty by the time it was done because I'm creating two sets of dinners, two sets of celebrations, hosting both parents at different times. So I was burned out, right? And then I go to teaching when I went back, and then the divorce, and then trying to create this lovely environment in a divorce when my heart wasn't in it. And so then that's all healed. Now they're grown up. It's almost like I'm ready to just give up on the holiday at the holiday season time because
It's too much.
it's too much still.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what I wanted to share, is it's still not an easy matter. It's still something of a complication.
It's very
And I just
complicated.
wish that it didn't have to be at this
Yeah.
stage, you know?
Yeah, and I think your story is not that unusual in in our culture. I mean, I remember back in the day when so I'm going back to when back when I was a little child. Okay, back in those days, we didn't
Yes.
have as many families. We didn't divorce was an issue. So you had your other issues that you were dealing with at home, but when you've got shared custody of children and it's a holiday, it becomes very volatile, very very emotional. There's a lot going on there. Then there's the physical, physically. Are you physically near each other, or how far away are you? I mean, my parents moved away from their birthplaces, and we were, so it was up to us to make our own family celebration. And sometimes we would get together with friends. Sometimes a relative would fly in or whatever, but primarily we were on our own, and it's a different thing now when you and I both have experienced divorce and we've got a kid. It's a different feeling around that. Even with adult children, then they have to figure things out. So like with my daughter, she's got to figure out stuff with her boyfriend and his families
Right.
too. And it, the best thing is just to, I think, to err on the side of it's all good. Whatever you do is
Right.
good. And it kind of takes the impact out, and you don't need to feel put on the side because they didn't come on the certain day or whatever. Even if it's year after year after year, make your own peace around it, and embrace that. And the fact that I get to spend a nice dinner with my daughter and her boyfriend, that's wonderful. We play games or whatever. It doesn't matter to me which day it falls on. Would it be nice? And you go, oh, wouldn't it be nice to wake up and jammies and exchange? They don't need to be in the house. It's okay. It's all good. And you know what? Young people come over and they're freaking jammies anyhow, and you're like, okay, no, 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 no. I'm not inviting you over for cocoa first thing in the morning, and you come in jammies in the afternoon. I don't think so. So I'm a little old fashioned on that. I believe in wearing clothes, and it would be nice if people dressed up a little. I don't mean dressy dress, but something
Like some effort.
a little bit of nice. Oh, so you can say, "Oh, doesn't that look nice?" Or, "Oh, that's your favorite." Whatever. It doesn't have to be a new thing. It could be an old one. But that's kind of how I feel. If we spend too much time on our pet peeves around the holidays, and yet they are irritants, and we kind of have to deal with them. You were talking about the decorations and the putting up decorations before Christmas decorations before Thanksgiving. That was happening all this year. It was like, what in the heck is going on? The whole neighborhood's already got lights up, and the stores are putting away their Thanksgiving before Thanksgiving happens, and I just don't even get that. And then there, of course, the other end of the pet peeve with the light with the decorations is that people leave them up well past January, and you're like, what the heck? Come on, you lazy bones, get your lights off, or change them up and make them different kinds of lights so that they're not just Christmas lights; they're just life lights, and you're enjoying that. So yeah, no, I don't know. It it is a new ball game, and doing it from our point of view, we're dealing with nostalgia, with
The way it used to be.
yeah, family issues, and how we're feeling about our own issues. I'm kind of just embracing the Ba-Humbug, which is kind of funny because it's a Christmas, story. It comes from Ba-Humbug.
Right.
Um, kind of, I'm the Ba-Humbug, but I've now moved more into, I like the idea of a heathen, pagan equinox celebration. I'm so ready for this dark. Our house is so dark right now. There's no sun, and I'm just so ready for some sun and hope. When December 21st comes around and we are out in this universe and things start turning the other direction, so our days are going to be longer and we're going to have some sun. I'm all up for that. Bring on the Yule logs, bring on the bonfires and the feasting. Be a little irreverent. I'm okay with all of that. That's kind of how I would interpret it.
Well, I think I came to this feeling and I was very calm about Thanksgiving. I was surprised. And I think I'm actually doing really well going into this Christmas season because I think what I realized, it's really the most fundamental thing, and it doesn't have to be at Christmas. I want my daughters together at the same time as I'm there. And it doesn't really matter what day it is. I think that's the important thing is I don't get to experience them together anymore. And that's more important than the celebration. That's more important than the day. And that's the thing I want to try and do when possible. But I realize, you have to figure what is it that is most important. And I realize it's that. So it doesn't have to be on Christmas.
Right. This is
Like
yeah, this is about people of our age. This is part of being retreaded because they're adult and they live where they live away
mhm.
from us, or we live away from them, however you want to characterize it. And they're involved in their
Lives.
yeah, their partners' lives and their life, and it's the natural thing. It's what's different is that we're not living in little villages where we're all together and we see each
That's
other
right.
all the time. So when we do get to see, we need to create those opportunities to see each other, spend time, literal, physical
Yes.
time together, and to go back to that connection of mother and daughters. In our case, we don't have sons.
Daughters.
With your kids, to have a moment of that is really
Mhm.
nice. Of course, if your kids got kids or whatever, it changes things. But if they live nearby, you're going to have those moments where it's just the two of you or three of you or whatever it is. Um, it's part of finding a new understanding
Rhythm.
and peace and happiness in that. Yeah. So you gotta
Yeah.
you gotta make it. You gotta create it. But it's partly understanding that that's what it is you want and what you need. And
Right.
yeah. So putting a name on it. Yeah. I go back to I'll do pagan equinox celebration. Let's do that.
Well, happy pagan equinox to you, Sue.
And to you as well.
Why, thank you.
And go find yourself some mistletoe to stand under. Burn a Yule log.
I
Have a
think I want a
wonderful
wreath on the
feast.
door, a fresh wreath.
A wreath. What's the symbol of the wreath? Do you know? Of course you know.
Oh, no, I don't.
Well, it's
Please.
it's another it's a circle.
A
It's the circle
circle.
of life. It's the circle of the year, the
Oh,
seasons, the eternal circle of life. I love that, and it's all green and full of life and beautiful. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Now let's pack up this week's episode in the trunk.
ride shotgun and be a part of our adventure by clicking on the plus sign to subscribe and follow our show. This will help our ratings and, more importantly, inspire us to keep creating fun and engaging content. We would love to hear from you in the comments sections or email us at retiredpodcastnewtread@gmail.com. Use the fast track lane by sharing episodes with friends, family, and anyone who would like to join us on our road trip through retirement.
Be sure to check the show notes for links and contact information. Retired is chauffeured by Sue Britz and Tina Lokkbakk. It is produced, directed, and edited by me, Sue Britz. Music and graphics are by me too. Buckle up and tune in next week so that you won't miss your chance to join our retired road trip.